Hi there, this is Janai Solano, and I'm presenting my Behaviorist Biography. I'm going to do it on Dr. Lee Kern. And Dr. Kern started her career as a teacher in 1982. She went on to obtain a special education credential teaching elementary and junior high school. She received her master's in special education and began coordinating and consulting for public school classrooms with severe emotional disturbance. She went on to get her PhD in special education and began working for Lehigh University, where she currently is the director in the Center for Promoting Research to Practice and a professor of special education. Her grant-funded research. Dr. Kern has been awarded grant funding in millions of dollars over the last 20 years. The research has been in the areas of prevention for behavior deficits, positive behavior supports, social, emotional, and behavioral intervention, as well as effects of psychological intervention for students with ADHD, and many more. Publications. Dr. Kern has been involved with writing and doing research for over 100 publications, including books, chapters in books, journal articles, and book reviews from 1987 to 2018. She's also made over 200 professional presentations between 1994 and 2018. So the publications I used are Considerations for the Future of JPBI, Journal of Positive Behavioral Interventions. And inside of that one, there were considerations for the future of JPBI. Those considerations were reviewed, and newly defined parameters and points of view were set for positive behavioral supports. The next one was called Positive Behavior Support, a proposal for updating and refining the definition. So the last one and this one were kind of connected. This report, Dr. Kern discussed a broader held perspective of positive behavior supports that had developed over time. Dr. Kern and her colleagues felt it would be good to open the discussion on the topic in a forum to see what their thoughts were, and they came up with a definition that accurately defines the field, distinguishes PBS from what's not PBS, is pertinent for all levels of PBS, and is useful for consumers, and is parsimonious. And the journal article Addressing the Needs of Students with Social, Emotional, and Behavioral Problems, Reflections and Visions. Dr. Kern described the need to focus on improving our approach to serve students with emotional and behavioral disorders, or EBDs. Dr. Kern saw the need to implement early intervention support for children and spent a good deal of time discussing proper training for teachers in the classroom for classroom management and behavior management. She also pointed out that the way interventions are implemented are not always done thoroughly and strategically. And overall for that one, she felt that these were areas that students with emotional and behavioral disorders could benefit the most from as a result of putting their results in action. The next one was a description of an iterative process for intervention development. In this journal article, Dr. Kern and her associates followed the study done by Molina, Smith, and Pelham and outlined implementing an intervention effectively. Dr. Kern and her team followed a 5-step process that was offered as an example to be followed, opposed to a solution for implementing interventions. And the last one I used was intervention for young children with and at risk for ADHD. And this journal article was about finding alternative methods other than medication for young children who have ADHD symptoms. Overall, it was found that student behavior improved when parents were trained in general parenting skills, as well as behavior management strategies. So contributions to applied behavioral analysis. Dr. Kern's work in describing the iterative process for intervention has provided others guidance for conducting and developing intervention. Her work in developing interventions for young children with ADHD and social and emotional behavior disorders has shown that parent involvement in training sessions can contribute to improved behavior. My summary, I read 6 articles by Dr. Kern and her colleagues which discuss improving the behavior of students with ADHD as well as redefining positive behavioral supports for schools and other entities. I made connections between past practices for early intervention for students who have ADHD and parent involvement, which produced stability in child behaviors during their early years. And questions that I have for Dr. Kern are, do you feel the curriculum used to teach parents in your research seemed engaging enough, or would you modify it moving forward? Do you feel telecommunication is an adequate form of service for ABA? And for ABA, I should say, for ABA practice. Much of your work has been to improve behavior in those with emotional behavioral disorders. How have you worked with psychologists when this was necessary in your studies? In developing an iterative process for intervention, you noted that balancing science and practice were a challenge. The example used was mental health professionals who were unable to provide services due to the clerical tasks they were assigned in the school setting. I often find this is the case in schools where I've worked. In your years of research, have you seen or thought of a possible solution for this problem? And these are my references. So I thank you for listening, and that's all.